You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Who doesn't love it? Chris Merrill in for Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. Listen anytime on demand on the iHeart Radio app. Mark Supine Runner.
Oh, no.
I wanted to bring you, I heard you play I don't have the clip from Bob Uecker from, do you have it handy?
It'll take me just a second, but I
from
can get
Major
it.
League, because it was so funny when he died. That's what everybody in my office was saying all day long today. I go, oh, Bob Uecker died. They go, oh, did he? Was he inside or was he? Yep.
Still looking. Give me a minute.
That's all right. I didn't think they were very funny. I thought that was in very poor taste.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see if this.
All right. When he died, was he inside or?
Because it's less filling and it tastes great.
Oh, no.
Good seats, huh? You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on. Oh, I must be in the front row. Come on.
There you go.
All right. Did he die inside or was he just a bit outside? It was from Major League, which was great. Then, of course, the Miller Lite commercials. Those are hilarious. But then he was, the third string catcher or something like that? And Uecker was 90 years old. For a lot of people, that little bit. I mean, listen, when you're 90, people who are younger didn't watch you play baseball. In fact, a lot of people didn't watch him play baseball, even that are older. The guy, he didn't get in a whole lot. He had a 200 batting average his whole life. But Bob was then the voice of the Brewers for 50 years or something? And then, of course, he was in Major League, which my first exposure to Bob Uecker, I had probably seen some of those commercials when I was younger, but, I mean, I saw Major League. When did that come out? 89, Mark?
I will look it up.
I want to say that's 89.
But I do remember he was pretty much a regular on the late night shows when I was growing up. Everybody loved Bob Uecker.
So, in 89, though, I was 11. And I watched I watched the made for TV version of it, right? Because I couldn't watch the full Major League. I was 11, but I'd never seen this Bob Uecker. I didn't really know who he was. I guess again, like I said, maybe I'd seen some commercials. I wasn't staying up and watching late night, so I saw him as the announcer who was drinking too much during the Major League. And for the longest time, I thought he was the voice of the Cleveland Indians, now Guardians. I thought that was his. So when I found out he was calling for the Brewers, I went, wait a minute. That's not right. Very confusing for me. I was not a smart child. Very confusing. Anyway, he passed away at age 90. And I talked with a guy today who used to run into Bob Uecker back in the early 70s. He was a youngster, and he ran into him at spring training, and he said he could not have been a nicer guy. And I love hearing stories where you see somebody that seems like a nice dude, and then you find out that when they meet a stranger, and at the time this guy was caddying at a golf course, and Uecker was there, and he said couldn't have been a nicer guy. So I love hearing stories like that. The other stunning news today, I didn't see this coming, but I guess he'd been sick for a little while, was David Lynch.
Acclaimed film director David Lynch has died. The four-time Oscar-nominated filmmaker gave us titles including Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, Wild at Heart, The Elephant Man, and the groundbreaking TV series Twin Peaks. Lynch revealed last year that he had been diagnosed with emphysema. His family made the announcement via social media, writing, quote, "There's a big hole in the world now that he's no longer with us, but as he would say, keep your eye on the donut and not on the hole. It's a beautiful day with golden sunshine and blue skies all the way." David Lynch was 78.
All right. I gotta be honest, Mark, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one, because I think the only David Lynch stuff I had ever seen was I saw Mulholland Drive. I think I saw Elephant Man too.
Oh, you're killing me. I saw Eraserhead when I was a teenager on a double bill with Night of the Living Dead, and I think it screwed me up for life. I was disoriented for days after that. I interviewed David Lynch in Seattle, I think around 2007, and it was really funny because he was nuts like you would expect, but I mean nuts in the most glorious way. He was a lot of fun. He was smart. And he didn't expect me to kind of screw with him a little bit. I think it was for the movie of his called Inland Empire, which is just incomprehensible. And I don't mean that as an insult, because I think most of his things were even incomprehensible to him, but in an artistic, wonderful way. You're never going to get an AI that can do David Lynch. So anyway, we're sitting at this table in a hotel having coffee at the time that he was reputed to drink up to like 20 cups of coffee a day. And I tell him, you know what's missing from this new movie of yours? And he kind of gives me a little irritated.
Uh-oh. What? Yeah, everybody's a critic, right?
Yeah, and I go, a dancing dwarf. And he goes, no. And I go, really? Come on. No.
No, but no dancing dwarf.
Oh, he got over it really quick. He was trying to sell me on transcendental meditation. That was always his big thing.
Oh, is that right?
Pardon me. And at the end of the interview, I swear to God, he made me go up to his hotel room and meditate with his assistant. And there was nothing sexual about it. I know you want to say there was.
Nah, that's remarkable. And you did?
I did, yeah. And I actually kind of got something out of it, but not enough to keep doing it.
I've never done the transcendental meditation. Is that the Om sitting on your knees thing, or is it what is it?
You silently repeat a mantra to yourself.
Okay, and then you just kind of get into a zone and sort of let your mind.
It never did much for me, but people swear by it.
All right. That Elephant Man, is that the one that had Anthony Hopkins in it? That's the one with
that's the one.
The John Merrick.
I think Mel Brooks produced that and did a stellar job of keeping the studio suits from interfering. Elephant Man is magnificent. It's wonderful.
That is I am not an animal thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I did see that.
And he did that terrific version of Dune that didn't put people to sleep.
Yeah, but it was kind of a flop, wasn't it?
It didn't do as well as everybody had hoped, but it was an artist did that. Again, it was nuts in the best possible way. I love everything he's ever done. Lost Highway, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
In fact,
the transcendental meditation thing makes a lot of sense to me. He was kind of tapping into a very creative place. Because can we doubt that he was one of the most creative directors we'll ever see?
There was nobody like him. He was a complete one-off.
How does somebody get a film made, if they are kind of like that?
Well, there are stories of him keeping studio executives from interfering with his stuff. For instance, I just read before we went on the air, somebody from the studio had come to oversee a day of production. And Lynch zeroes right in on the guy and says, "You've got a great face. I want you in this picture." And he sends the guy off to hair and makeup for the whole day, at the same time appeasing the guy's vanity and keeping him from messing around with what he was doing.
Oh, that is so funny.
He was brilliant.
That's really good. Oh, I love that. Anyway, he 78. We don't know cause of death, do we?
Well, he had emphysema, and so
right.
We already knew that he was probably essentially retired when he made that announcement.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
78's a good run. He's going to be around forever. And I'll tell you, even the extras on the DVDs of his work that have, I spent 45 minutes watching him put together a lamp and talking while he did it.
Really?
He's just a phenomenally entertaining, brilliant guy.
I love that. Good story. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that.
I'm here for you.
Look at me being nice to you now because I'm afraid of whatever retribution you're going to have after our last segment.
It's coming, and you're not going to see it.
I'm kind of afraid of that. All right, more There's No Business Like, including Oscars no more? All right, we'll find out. That's next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I'm Chris Merrill in for Mo Kelly. Listen anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Majestic. I thought that was majestic. Looks like the Oscars are up in the air right now. Well, if you believe The Sun. British tabloid The Sun is usually full of crap, but there might be an iota of truth to this. The official Academy Award Committee is monitoring the wildfire situation daily, they say. And don't worry, because stars are aware of the situation. Again, this is The Sun reporting. They include Tom Hanks, Emma Stone, Meryl Streep, and Steven Spielberg. See, what happened is they took the biggest names that are on the committee, and then they attached the story and decision to them. So evidently, Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg and Emma Stone and Meryl Streep are all sitting in a room together and trying to figure out if they're going to go forward with the Academy Awards.
I beat Merrill.
Oh, thank you. They say the feeling is it could be in bad taste to go ahead with the glitzy bash of the Oscars when dozens of people have died and thousands are left homeless. An insider said the board's main concern at this time is not to look like they're celebrating while many Los Angelinos are dealing with heartbreak and unimaginable loss. And certainly, even if the fires went out next week, the reality is that the city is still hurting. We'll be dealing with that pain for months. Oh, it's going to be more than months. It is going to be more than months. How long do you think before we recover and we talk about these fires as a piece of history and not a piece of our lives?
Well, years at least.
I mean, what, 3, 4? 2, 3, 4? I mean, there's going to be not just rebuilding, but infrastructure. There's going to be there will be new code. I'm going to guess that the ember-resistant vents are going to become mandatory in California. Dean Sharp was talking with Tim Conway Jr. about this earlier tonight, and he was talking about the vents that you have on your house that go in the soffits or on the if you have a crawl space, they might go around the crawl space because the house has to have ventilation, it has to have airflow through it. But that's where the embers get into the house and the fires kick up, that kind of thing. I'm going to say that those are going to be mandatory in building code in California in the not so distant future. Kind of surprised that they're not already. We may see some retrofitting that goes on. And then what are we doing as far as fire hydrants at higher elevations? You're no longer in a position in this state to be able to say that assuming you have 1 or 2 structures catching on fire and you have enough pressure to fight 1 or 2 structures is enough. I mean, this is what DWP is fighting right now, is trying to figure out what they do in the future because we don't want any more stories of hydrants running dry. And what happened was when the fire departments are tapping all of the hydrants at once, there just isn't enough pressure. And especially at the higher elevations. Lower elevations still had some pressure, but the higher elevations did not. So, there's going to be some changes. So the idea that we're only going to be dealing with this for a few months is, I think, even more short-sighted. More than 200,000 residents forced to flee, 88,000 still under evacuation orders. This is the story that they published a few days ago, though. So, anyway, so now they're putting together a contingent strategy put in place for the Oscars, which are scheduled for March 3rd. They say the ceremony could be called off. Would they call off the Oscars? Do you think?
I could see that.
You think so? Just not have them for a year? And then what, roll them all into the next one?
I mean, they did that they had to with the pandemic.
With COVID, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's, I guess they could. It just seems
because
really strange
to play devil's advocate, obviously they're suffering terribly, but, then on the other side, there's people like kind of a distraction.
That's where I was going next, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're exactly right.
That's the only argument I could see going to, broadcast it.
Could they still do the Oscars, but maybe not from here?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they move them to New York or something, and they do it, from there.
Oh, you got to do it from here. And I think there's an argument to be made for people carrying on and regrouping and showing that they're not going to be beaten down by that.
I do too, but also, I mean, it's kind of like, the Rams game that moved to Phoenix last weekend, or Monday, I guess, that it's like you don't want to look like you're celebrating. Distraction is fine, and I know there were a lot of people that welcomed the distraction of watching the Rams. I bet people were watching the Rams that didn't watch football the rest of the year just because they wanted something else to focus on for a night. But, they didn't do it here because they didn't want to look like, hey, everybody, come party with us while your house is burning. And the NFL obviously wants to be able to put out a big show and kind of a party atmosphere. I think the Oscars want that too, but you think it has to be here, Mark?
I think so. I think people want to see Angelinos succeed after they've been through so much, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. In the same way that everybody was all for New York after September 11th. I mean, this isn't September 11th, but this is a pretty big disaster, and I think we all want to pull together and we want to wish people well in the face of disaster.
But it's a tough needle to thread because you also, right now especially, you don't want to see celebrities, in self-congratulation mode. Nothing at all wrong with giving it a little pause. And, maybe
they'll postpone them?
Maybe they'll decide to postpone them later than March.
Okay.
But
doing an April, May kind of thing? Yeah, I think you're right. You see Meghan Markle, she delayed her Netflix, cooking show or something because
Damn the luck.
Yeah, well, but I think, wasn't it Meghan McCain that said it was in bad taste that she was doing her cooking show, and now she's like, oh, I can't handle the fallout, so they've postponed the launch of the cooking show on Netflix because they didn't want to seem insensitive. And I thought, okay. I mean, I don't know how many people were tying those two together. I don't know. Maybe there's more to that story. I don't know.
Yeah, that just seems like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, good news, Ronner. It sounds like you're going to be able to watch the Super Bowl on your Tubi.
Over at your place?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on over. Fox is going to stream the Super Bowl on Tubi. I guess that's for people that don't have access to Fox otherwise, whether they don't have the antenna or they don't have another streaming service that includes the local channels. Fox is going to make the Super Bowl available on Tubi.
Tubi coming up in the world after just a bunch of old obscure cult movies. That's impressive.
My understanding is that Tubi saw a major boost. What they said is that a very credible newsman on a very high-profile news radio station talked about them incessantly.
You can do a forensic audit of my bank account.
Yeah.
You will find no suspicious deposits from Tubi.
No, I think it just has to do with your absolute love, and people are really turned on to Tubi now.
It is terrific. I'm not exaggerating. It's life-changing.
Well, I know you love the old stuff. What else is on Tubi? Is it just basically old movies and TV shows that you can find whatever they can get cheap?
Yeah, that's
how do they make money? Do they run ads?
They do have ads, but they're not a critical amount. It's a reasonable amount of ads. You can live with it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's like for all the other services that I pay for, I get the ad-supported services. Right? So, I mean, like my Amazon has ads now, and my Hulu has ads now, so I'm kind of used to it. As long as we don't get back to those 5 and 7 minute breaks like you have on cable and network TV. That's stuff I just can't handle.
So it's streaming in addition to Fox?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Fox is allowing the rights. Now, they're not going to let other games on there. So don't expect that you're going to see the other playoff games or anything else. It's not like all of a sudden Fox has struck a deal with Tubi that they're going to run away with it. But I guess Fox was supposed to be part of that. What is it called? Venue? Was that the one that they were working on? That was, I think it was Fox and Disney and Warner, and they were all trying to put together like a sports streaming service, and then it just fell apart. And so I think Fox was sort of scrambling, saying, where can we offer this as a streaming alternative? And so they're going to do that. Well, you know where they're going to make their money is on the advertising. Although, when it comes to the Super Bowl advertising, there's one that you're not going to see on Tubi or anywhere else. You'll find out what that is next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I wanted to talk about that TikTok ban just a little bit, but before we get into that, I made mention that Mark will have the opportunity to watch the Super Bowl on Tubi. He's very excited that, what are the odds Tubi crashes from everybody trying to watch on that service?
I have complete faith in Tubi. They can do no wrong.
It's like you and like 6 other weirdos in Arkansas that watch Tubi, right?
You're out of your mind. Everybody loves Tubi.
Everybody loves it. This is coming from the guy who only Bings things now. I don't Google anymore. I only Bing. It's me and those same 6 guys that Mark hangs out with on Tubi.
I was going to say he's to Tubi what you are to Bing.
That's exactly what it is.
You made that sound like an SAT thing, and that's very confusing.
However, when it comes to tech and sports, one game is being streamed this weekend, and it's got sports fans very upset. And that is that if you want to watch the Steelers-Ravens game, you have to watch it on Amazon Prime. And people are mad because they're going, look, the NFL just put up another paywall to see a playoff game. And I get that. Last year, there was a game that was only on Peacock. If you wanted to watch the playoff game, you had to have a subscription to Peacock. Now, I did the 1 week trial, and then I canceled it right after. Which, by the way, right before Christmas this year, Peacock had they had a deal. It was $2 a month for the first year.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and signed up for that, and I've been watching a lot of Peacock lately. Kind of nice opening up a new library. And what I thought Peacock was just, all the NBC network shows. They just put them over there. That's not the case. They've got a lot of original programming, which is pretty good. But anyway, the football game is only going to be on Amazon Prime, and people are livid. I don't blame them for that. Now, I have Prime. I'm going to watch the game, but I definitely understand why people are upset that, my God, I gotta have Peacock, I gotta have Paramount, I gotta have Prime, I have to have Netflix had games on Christmas Day. It's like, I know why all of these different companies are paying the big bucks to the NFL to do this. I know why the NFL is taking all of that money, because they're greedy. But who ultimately gets boned on all of this? This is the people that want to see it.
Our grandfathers and dads.
Yeah. It's frustrating, man.
That's why I like that idea of whatever's, I don't know this playoffs, but Fox and Tubi, like something like that. Like, oh, okay, let's do Peacock and NBC. Like, just let them have at least the option.
That's what I would think, except what NBC is trying to do, or they were last year, was to drive people to their streaming service. Amazon, of course, is trying to get people to subscribe. Now, in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, there's a local station in each market that is going to carry the game. So the locals will be able to see it, but anybody that's not local to Pittsburgh or Baltimore won't be able to see this game unless they have Amazon Prime this weekend. So I don't. Right now, the NFL is such a leviathan when it comes to entertainment. I don't know if they can be hurt by this sort of thing. I mean, people are going to complain. I get it. And I think the complaints are well-founded. I just don't know that it matters to them. I don't know that there will be an impact on the overall acceptance of the most popular sport in America right now. I mean, that would be like soccer in England. Like, people will go wherever it is because that's what they do. So it's kind of what we do here, too, when it comes to football. I understand the frustration. Meanwhile, if you are watching the Super Bowl, maybe on Tubi, Mark, you will not be seeing the State Farm ad this year.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Cut. State Farm has just announced it's pulled its new Super Bowl commercial due to the devastating Los Angeles fires. Last year's commercial was a huge hit with viewers, featuring actors Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays an insurance agent saving pets from a family's home that's going up in flames.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Today,
boy, DeVito's having a hell of a moment, isn't he? He is everywhere right now.
Well, he deserves it.
I agree. He's one of those guys that he's 80.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's doing really well. He's great.
I know. I was thinking, that's funny you said that, because I was like, man, I've seen him way more than normal, but because the only thing I've seen him on because I love the show is It's Always Sunny.
Yes.
So he's been there for, 1,000 years. But like now he's all of a sudden just going everywhere else.
He's everywhere. Yeah, it's great.
State Farm announced, our focus is firmly on providing support to the people of Los Angeles. We will not be advertising during the game as originally planned.
Yeah. State Farm is they're just avoiding the memes. That's because they canceled a bunch of people last year. So they canceled a bunch of policies, and then all hell breaks loose. The football game that we mentioned in the last segment that went to Phoenix on Monday was played at State Farm Stadium, so State Farm somehow benefited after all of the fires, and it's just not a good look, and they know exactly what the internet would crucify them. Whatever the ad is, people would be pulling stills and making memes out of it for weeks, and State Farm doesn't want that. They don't want that.
The insurance giant faced criticism last year after it declined to renew 72,000 policies in California due to the wildfire risk. It now says it will offer policy renewals to thousands of people impacted by the fires. Today, there's a new threat in fire-ravaged Los Angeles.
What is it?
This hillside home survived the devastating Pacific Palisades.
Oh, they move on to the story about the home that broke in two like a Kit Kat. Mark had that in his news. I don't know. I got confused because it sounded like the guy was broadcasting from inside a beehive.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Here, after it declined to renew 72,000 policies in California due to the wildfire risk.
Is that like a drone going on behind him or something?
No, the news was brought to you by Nicolas Cage on the set of the Wicker Man remake.
Man, your deep cuts are amazing. That is really something else.
I'll take a rim shot there. Foosh.
That is no. Don't give him a rim shot.
Come on,
he gets nothing for that, Foosh.
No, he doesn't, because it's not a deep cut. If you're here with Mo, the time of his fear of bees.
It's oh, okay. All right. Well, it's a deep cut for me. What else was I? Did I have it seems like I had something else to say, but I'm kind of done with that. Okay, I'm done with that one. Let's talk TikTok. We got time? I'm running late on this. Let me talk TikTok here in the next segment, because it looks like the TikTok ban could last upwards of 36 hours. My God, what will the 18-year-olds do? That is next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Big news that is set to wreck social media as soon as TikTok is torn down. Now, as TikTok goes away, people are finding alternatives to TikTok. The problem is the alternatives to TikTok are also owned by Chinese companies, including one that's owned by ByteDance. But we're not banning them. We're banning TikTok. Can't say I'm a big fan of the isolated ban. I mean, why is TikTok the target? Because obviously they're the largest. That's it. It's not about Chinese companies. It's about banning the most high-profile thing. And remember, this started, Trump was out there saying, oh, we have to ban TikTok. They're terrible. It's a threat. The Chi-Coms are going to steal all of our information. And there was this big national security brouhaha. Well, now that he's coming back in, he goes, actually, TikTok's okay.
Time could be running out for TikTok. The app now considering a total shutdown for American users if that ban goes into effect on Sunday. But there are still last-minute efforts underway right now to save the app for U.S. users. NBC News learning Biden White House officials are looking for ways to keep TikTok available even if the ban goes into effect. Also, Justin, TikTok CEO Shou Chew has now accepted an invitation to attend President-elect Trump's inauguration. That's the day after the ban is set to go into effect.
Okay, so we're going to ban TikTok, but then the CEO of TikTok is going to be at the inauguration. Well, yeah, because you know, it's not that he is trying to win favor with the incoming president. It's because he's not part of the parent company. You see, he's not part of the. He's not the. It's the Chinese. Okay, all right. Yeah, we should be very selective when it comes to who we want to target, doesn't it?
Kate Niz.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, you're 100% right. Not to take away from TikTok, but like when Uber and Lyft first started to gain momentum, all they did was complain about, oh, they're bad drivers or this. But then people who were using it would hit back at them saying, I've been in a taxi several times and I've thought I was going to die.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So yeah, they always attack whoever's
the biggest.
Well. Yeah.
Right? Nobody cared about Walmart until Walmart was the biggest American retailer. We didn't worry about Amazon until Amazon was big enough that they were affecting others. Now there is a difference between being a monopoly, obviously. Like Google may have to break some things up because they say it's monopolistic. That's a little bit different. But also, when it comes to TikTok, there are plenty of competitors, including, seems like there's a social media app out there that was, it was worth like $44 billion at one point. And then somebody bought it. And then it seems like that somebody now seems to have a lot of influence over the government. And also there are rumors that same somebody might actually buy TikTok. That would be, that would never come to fruition.
Kate Niz is the Wired senior writer and joining us now with more on this. Kate, we've heard a couple of possibilities for what could happen if this ban goes into effect, but we're also learning that people are waiting around. They're already jumping to new platforms, Lemonade.
Oh, Lemonade. That must be Beyonce's new platform.
Redbook. What do we know about those moves, those platforms, and are they really any less a risk?
Wasn't Redbook like a magazine for old ladies?
Yeah, you'll find that in the dentist office.
That's what I thought.
In the 90s, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So those platforms have really spiked in popularity since people realized that the TikTok ban was likely really happening. And Lemonade is actually also owned by ByteDance. So
that's weird, but they're not banned.
So any giant migration there will likely be short-lived because that would also be affected by this ban. Redbook is actually another Chinese video and photo sharing app, and it's experienced a massive surge in popularity. Like over 700,000 Americans have joined, which is impressive because it's largely in Mandarin, and it's just I think, evidence that Americans are quite keen to stay on foreign-owned social platforms if they like what they're doing over there.
It's a little odd, isn't it, that people are looking for a replacement to TikTok, which obviously Zuckerberg thought they were all going to come over to Insta, and Musk is trying to figure out how he can capitalize on it and all this kind of stuff. But people are going to another Chinese-owned app, and it's predominantly written in Mandarin, but Americans are using it. I mean, isn't that basically 700,000 Americans flipping the bird to the government in this ban? They would rather deal with a foreign app that's in Mandarin than to use any of the other American alternatives. Not because it's easier, but because they're basically saying, screw you.
A lot of unanswered questions about TikTok. For instance, I'm not sure everybody remembers, Trump tried to ban it during his first term, and he changed his mind. In fact, PolitiFact gave him a rating of full flop on TikTok, and nobody has really ever satisfactorily answered the question about why he changed his mind. Some people say it's just because he was going with public opinion during the election.
Well, part of that, obviously, yeah.
Other people say it's that he met with a wealthy donor who owns a lot of TikTok, but he's denied that. But Steve Bannon was flinging those accusations around. There's a lot we still don't know. And on top of that, we had discussed this for a short time last night. The damage done by Twitter and by Facebook Meta in terms of people's privacy and violating it and disinformation. There's no reason to single out TikTok when all of them are doing terrible things to us.
I think the only argument you can make, though, is that these other ones are American-owned companies. And if they're American-owned companies, then while they might be taking our personal information, they wouldn't be using it against national security interests, just personal security interests. And that's okay. It's okay to sell somebody's personal information as long as it doesn't affect the government. See? So that's the big difference, Mark. You gotta look out for number one here.
Well, one could argue that if one were so inclined.
The New York Times says that Trump came to see how well his videos about him performed on TikTok, and his advisors credited it with helping him to expand his reach to a new type of voter during the campaign. So he may like it because it helped with his election. Anyway, he says he might issue an executive order to circumvent the TikTok ban. So evidently we're not worried about national security any longer, so long as the Trump videos are performing well. God bless America. All right, I'm back tomorrow night. Thank you so much. Foosh, I love your creativity, man. Ronner, you are maybe the best sport in any newsroom in America, and I mean that.
Supine.
And nothing. You are the most supine. You are a supine anchor. And this show absolutely would not have come together if not for the work from Tawala. If people could see the work that he does behind the scenes, they would be astounded. You are a hero to me, my friend. Thank you, guys. Chris Merrill, KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.